My ex has harassed me for almost 2 years. This is my first Reddit post, and it's going to be heavy. It's going to contain mentions of physical and mental abuse, so this is a fair warning for everyone. I, 18, a female, met my ex, male, 22, in February of 2020, but didn't end up dating him till closer to my 17th birthday, because he still lived with his girlfriend. He told me they were just friends, and he didn't like her like that, and I didn't find out till later that they were actually still doing things together. And meeting him was the biggest mistake of my life. Everything started off great, as every relationship goes. I sent pics because he was my boyfriend, so of course, I let him save them for later use. Another big mistake. I noticed that they were still texting, and when I went through his phone, he was saying he still loved her and missed her. I was deeply hurt and called him out on it. He apologized and said he would never do that again. I told him to text her that we were dating, and he did. She was pissed. She stopped paying for the house and helping him with car payments. And at this time, he had quit Taco Bell and refused to do his job Ubering because I need to practice League of Legends because I want to be a pro league streamer. So I worked my ass off and ended up losing my job because the manager didn't let me work without a doctor's note, so I was stuck working his job while he played games. Before I met him, I had 4.5k in my savings. He ended up using my card to pay his phone bills, car payments, the apartment, daily weed, fast food, new league accounts, and fucking CSGO knives. He kept losing his accounts due to telling people off themselves and using the F and N word slurs. But the worst was yet to happen. I found that he was using an old tablet to excessively watch porn, set up dating accounts, and have different Instagram accounts. But on these accounts, he was pretending to be a woman. I called him out on this and told him I wanted to leave. He freaks out, jumping and screaming and crying, saying he would change, and I trusted him. Oh God, why? As time went on, things got worse, and I was scared to leave, and by the end of this, you will see why. He had shoved me into a wall and getting in my face screaming, "You stole my car key because you don't want me to work because you're jealous of other girls," which was stupid because he had thrown his car keys at me during a different argument. But one day, I went through the iPad and found he was actively not just sending, but selling my pictures from when I was 16 or 17, and doing the same with his other ex. I started to try to get my stuff together. He started screaming and getting in my face. I tried to go around him, and he grabbed my things. But when my back was turned, he pulled me down to the ground, wrestled me till he was able to put me in a chokehold. I was sobbing and just accepted that this would be the end. But before I blacked out, he let me go. I started gasping for air and gagging from excessive coughing as he just stood and laughed at me. I tried to crawl away from him when he grabbed my leg and started dragging me out of the apartment. I kicked to try and get him off, which made him pull me like a dog playing tug of war. He eventually dragged me out, keeping my wallet, keys, and all the other valuables, so I sat begging for my stuff, so I could just go home. He came outside and pulled me down the apartment stairs by my legs. What was left was extreme bruising and some cuts. I did end up calling the police, and they did absolutely nothing. Fast forward, he had moved because he had no idea where to stay or live after getting evicted from the apartment, and I had gotten a new job. One day it was particularly cold. I went to get a shirt out of my car, and there he was. He was sitting in my car on his phone. I left the door unlocked, usually because I worked in a good area. I called him a cheater and told him to leave. He got out of the car and was starting to go around the back, so I jumped in and tried to lock the door from the back seat. He ran over and pulled the door open and started to try pulling me out of the car. I started screaming and kicking at him. Thankfully, a customer saw this and called the police. They arrested him and told me to go home for the night, which they ended up firing me for. Unfortunately, he got bailed out, and while he was in jail, he had given out my phone number to other people. He walked 4.5 hours to my house after he was released and was looking around my backyard when my neighbor saw him and called my dad. My dad got in his truck with his gun. He eventually did, but ran off. He wasn't shot. He had harassed me, saying that he was going to show up to my graduation and ruin everything. It has gotten to the point where he's made multiple fake accounts on Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok pretending to be me and his other exes. As of today, January 1st, 2023, he still pretends to be high school girls, selling our pictures and making fake accounts. Long story short, my crazy ex-boyfriend abused and stalked me for 2 years after I caught him cheating and pretending to be a woman and high school girls online. So, to that jerk, let's not meet. Stalked for 15 years. So I'm a 28-year-old woman, and this happened to me when I was 13. I'm an adult now and still kind of traumatized. For a little context, at 13, I transferred schools because of lack of money. The school I went to was a cheaper private school because where I lived, the public ones kind of sucked. I didn't have any friends, or at least for the first couple of months. I started noticing this boy, Victor. He was always staring at me during classes, in the hallways, or by the window, and at lunch. It was an everyday thing, but I didn't care because, as a kid, I only thought of stupid stuff like dolls or whatever. Oh, and one more thing. I was flat as a table back then, so totally looked like a small child. The girls in my class started saying that Victor had a crush on me, which creeped the hell out of me because he was 18. I was creeped out, but still didn't care, as long as he didn't approach me or anything. But things escalated quickly. Victor would follow me home every day. Thank God I moved since then, and he doesn't know where I live anymore. The most annoying thing, however, was that he constantly asked his friends to try to talk to me and try to convince me to go out with him and make out with him after school. These talks would usually take 30 minutes of them trying so hard to convince me to agree with this, while Victor was behind them watching the conversation like a freak. Obviously, I rejected him all the time, but being the nice guy that he was, he spread rumors about us making out anyways. Nobody believed anyway because he was such a weird guy, and the whole school knew it. The final straw was when our school had a trip to a book fair. I was super excited. At this point, I had made a couple of friends. On our way to this fair, I was on the bus with my friend, and Victor was on 3 seats behind us. I could feel his eyes on me the whole way. Out of nowhere, he came and asked for a friend's cell phone, and she gave it to him. So stupid of her. He returned her cell phone not even 2 minutes later. She checked the cell phone and showed me that he had taken a bunch of photos of me. I guess this was his way of saying that he already done this at some point. She got so pissed and went to talk to him. When she returned, she said the creepiest thing I've heard in my life. She said this with a very scared face. He said to me that when you least expect it, he will push you into a bathroom and rape you. Today. The only thing that went through my mind was, what should I do now? I looked at him and he gave me a creepy smile. After this, I spent the whole day looking behind my back, not leaving the side of my teacher. She didn't even understand why. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want to walk around alone at the fair. I was in alert mode all the time, and thank God nothing happened. When I came home, I cried in my room like a baby. This was at the end of the year, so thankfully I switched schools again. I told this to my mom last year, and she was like, yeah, it happens. It happened to me too when I was your age. So shocked about how this is such a common thing. I'm now 28, and I still see Victor on the streets. He has followed me around a few times. I always walk in circles, but sometimes he waits for me outside of the stores or restaurants. I think about what would happen to me in the book fair if I didn't have my teacher next to me the whole time. And I've wondered if one day he'll do something, or just keep this creepy behavior. But Victor, you are a creep. If you ever come up to me, just to let you know I've gone through defense classes and I carry. So, Victor, it's best that we not meet. He won't leave. It all started about a month ago when a man started banging on my door at 6 at night, yelling for a mic to come out. That he needs to see him and get cigarettes. I told him that he had the wrong house and to leave. There has never been a mic in the house. He got even more aggressive, calling me a liar and how he was going to come in and beat the skinny bitch you live with. I tried to call the non-emergency police line. He left. I called my father, who was across town, to come home and what was going on, and he showed up. He called 911 to file a report. The guy came back and started screaming. Cops were called again. Showed up about an hour after the call and couldn't find him and told me to defend myself if it came to it. I ended up staying with a friend for the night because I didn't feel safe at home. I can be a strong person, but I don't think I could do much against a drugged out man. What made the situation even scarier to me is that I was going through my driveway camera photos and it shows him walking up to my house hours before. I had no clue. I have really bad anxiety, so the next few days were filled with paranoia and stress, but I managed to finally calm down and convince myself that this was the end of it. Come that weekend, my father went on a trip with his girlfriend, so I was left alone for a couple days. I had just put on a scary movie when I heard screaming again and a loud bang. I pull up my camera and see that he is back, pacing back and forth on the sidewalk and has thrown over our trash can, again screaming for Mike. I call 911 and they show up within minutes this time and were able to stop him down the street. Things were quiet for a few weeks. I again believed that was the end of it. Until today. The morning my father and I got in an argument, so I wanted to take a walk to clear my mind. I went across the street to a park and sat by a tree watching cars pass every now and then. Just beautiful morning weather. I noticed a truck drive down the left side of the street and turn to my street. My back is facing. He waved as he passed, so I didn't do too much thinking. I just thought it was a man going to work, and he just waved. Stops, makes a U-turn to come back. Red flags instantly go off in my head, so I get up to start walking home. I look back and see he's turned off his headlights and is trailing me. I get to the front of my house, and he slows. I get a better look at his face this time. Man harassing me, from the physical characteristics to his red baseball cap. He just glared at me, like I took everything in his life away from him. I get to the door and try to barge in, but my father put the chain on in anger of me walking out, so I had to yell at him that I was being followed and to open the door. He opens it, and by then, the truck was gone down the street. I'm terrified to leave my home. I don't have a car to get anywhere quickly. I have a bike, but even now, I'm scared to do that. I don't know who this man is or what his intentions were, but I live in paranoia, waiting. I hope we never meet. Hey guys, it's been a while, but here I am back again. Forest Trails and Scary Tales, back at it. So I'll try to keep post one, maybe like every once a week. Make sure to share, subscribe, and yeah, invite your friends, tell them about the site. Tell me if you want me to narrate anything. I narrate scary stuff, but I also will narrate stuff you would like to, like books, novels, etc. Just go ahead and tell me, give me updates, and whatnot. Again, Forest Trails and Scary Tales, backing out.